Captain Elias Thorne had always been drawn to the whispers of forgotten legends, but he never imagined one would lead him to the forsaken outpost of Epsilon Drift. The trading hub, orbiting a dying star in the far reaches of the Perseus Arm, was a haven for smugglers and scavengers, where rare artifacts from extinct civilizations were bartered like common ore. As his weathered freighter, the Void Seeker, docked in the shadowy bay, Elias felt a pull in his chest, a mix of curiosity and foreboding. His mission was simple: secure a rumored relic said to hold the key to unlimited energy, but the Drift had other secrets. "Welcome to Epsilon Drift, Captain," greeted a wiry, tentacled trader named Zilk, his multiple eyes blinking in greedy anticipation. "Heard you're here for something special. The consortium's got a real prize, last of its kind." Elias' hazel eyes narrowed under his tousled brown hair, his leather jacket creaking as he shifted. "I'm not here for games, Zilk. Show me the relic." Zilk's tentacles wriggled. "Oh, it's more than a relic. Follow me through the lower levels." They descended into the outpost bowels, where the air grew thick with the hum of energy fields and the scent of ozone. Elias' boots echoed on the grated floors, his hand never far from the pulse pistol at his hip. Zilk led him to a massive chamber, reinforced with adamantium beams and flickering containment fields. In the center, bound by glowing chains that crackled with restraining force, was a being that stole his breath. She was a colossus, nearly 30 feet tall, her form humanoid but magnified to godlike proportions. Her skin was a vibrant green, like emerald forests under sunlight, with subtle scales that shimmered like leaves in the wind. Her hair, a cascade of deep forest vines, fell around her massive shoulders, partially veiling her nudity. Her eyes were golden orbs, pupilless but radiating an intelligence that pierced the soul. She sat chained, her posture regal despite the humiliation, a creature of myth, the last of the Verdants, ancient guardians of lost worlds. "Magnificent, isn't she?" Zilk chattered. "Captured from a derelict temple ship. The Verdants were thought extinct warriors of nature, they called themselves. Now she's our star attraction. Bids are pouring in from collectors across the arm." Elias' fists clenched, his rugged features hardening. This wasn't a prize, it was enslavement. "She's sentient," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Not some animal for your auctions." Zilk laughed, his eyes bulging. "Sentient? She's a monster, Captain. Look at the size of her, but docile now thanks to the chains. Want a closer look?" Elias nodded, stepping forward as Zilk deactivated a section of the field. The Verdant's golden eyes tracked him, not with rage but curiosity. Up close, her green skin was warm to the eye, pulsing faintly with inner light. "I'm Captain Elias Thorne," he said softly, maintaining eye contact. "And I don't believe you're a monster." The Verdant's head tilted, her voice a deep, resonant timbre like wind through ancient trees. "You are different from the others who come to gawk. They see only the giant, the threat. You see me," Zilk snorted. "Don't get too close, Captain." "She's dangerous." Elias ignored him, his hand inching toward her chained ankle. "May I?" he asked her directly. Her golden eyes widened, but she nodded. His palm touched her green skin, smooth yet textured like bark, warm and alive. A tremor ran through her, and Elias felt a spark, as if connecting to something primordial. Zilk's voice cut in. "Enough gawking. If you're not buying, let's discuss business elsewhere." Elias withdrew his hand, but his nod to the Verdant was firm. As Zilk led him away, Elias whispered to himself, "Not a monster, a prisoner, and that's about to change." Over the next days, Elias played the part of a cautious buyer, inspecting the outpost's operations while his freighter's scanners mapped every detail: guard rotations, power grids, and the energy chain's vulnerabilities. He visited the chamber often under the guise of evaluating the asset. The guards grew lax, assuming his interest was financial. Her name was Thalira, the last verdant guardian. "My people were stewards of worlds," she told him during one visit, her voice echoing softly. "We shaped ecosystems, nurtured life, but wars with invaders whittled us down. I was captured, displayed as a trophy." "You're not a trophy," Elias said, his hand on her ankle again, the touch becoming a ritual. "You're a survivor, and I'll get you out." Thalira's golden eyes softened. "Why risk everything for me, small one?" "Because I see you," he replied, "beyond the size, beyond the fear, and what I see is worth fighting for." That night, as the outpost power cycled for maintenance, Elias struck. Alarms blared as he sabotaged the grid, the chains flickering. Thalira rose, her green skin gleaming, shattering her bonds with a roar that shook the foundations. Elias fought through guards to reach her, and she scooped him up gently, cradling him against her chest as she smashed through walls to freedom. They fled into the Drift's wilds, the consortium's ships in pursuit. But in that moment, as Thalira's massive strides carried them away, Elias knew he'd found something greater than any relic, a connection that defied the stars. The crimson sands of Epsilon Drift's wasteland stretched endlessly beneath the flickering light of its dying star, the red dwarf casting an eerie glow across jagged rock spires and abandoned mining rigs. Captain Elias Thorne clung to Thalira's massive shoulder, his leather jacket flapping against the wind as the verdant giantess sprinted across the dunes. Her green skin shimmered like emerald leaves under sunlight, her forest-fine hair trailing like a comet's tail. Each stride covered dozens of meters, her bare feet kicking up clouds of red dust that sparkled with psychoactive flecks, scrambling the sensors of the consortium ships roaring overhead. Elias' pulse pistol hung at his hip, but his real weapon was the Void Seeker's remote beacon in his pocket, signaling their escape ship hidden in a nearby canyon. "Hold tight, small one," Thalira's voice rumbled, deep and melodic like a breeze through ancient groves. Her golden, pupilless eyes flicked upward, tracking the sleek consortium gunships weaving through the haze. "They're persistent." Elias adjusted his grip, his hazel eyes scanning the horizon. His freighter's sensors, linked to the neural implant behind his ear, fed him real-time data, 3 ships armed with quantum disruptors closing fast. "They're not here for a chat," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "My ship's 2 clicks east, can you make it?" Thalira's lips curved into a fierce smile, her scales glinting. "You doubt a Verdant's strength? I carried starseeds across continents. One human is no burden." He grinned, his brown hair whipping across his face. "Doubting, just checking, you're carrying precious cargo, me." Her laugh, like rustling leaves, echoed over the dunes. "Bold words for one so small. Keep talking, Elias Thorne, it distracts me from the gunfire." A quantum bolt seared past, scorching the sand into glass. Thalira swerved, her massive form agile despite her size, shielding Elias with her body. His implant pinged, the Void Seeker was prepped, its engines hot. "Almost there," he said, tapping the beacon. "Just need to lose these bastards." The canyon loomed ahead, a jagged scar in the desert where the Void Seeker waited, its battered hull camouflaged against the rock. Thalira leaped a crevasse, landing with a tremor that shook loose boulders. Elias clung tighter, marveling at her power. Her green skin was warm against his hands, its subtle scales textured like polished bark. The contact sent a thrill through him, not just adrenaline, but something deeper, a spark ignited in that first touch in the consortium's chamber. "Elias," Thalira said, her voice softer now, though her pace didn't falter. "Why risk this? Your ship, your freedom, your life." He met her golden gaze, his jaw set. "Because you're not a trophy to be chained. You're Thalira, last of the Verdants, and you deserve to be free. Plus," he added with a roguish grin, "I've got a thing for women who can crush starships." Her laughter rang out again, but it was cut short by a deafening roar. A consortium gunship dropped low, its disruptors charging. Elias cursed, pulling his pistol and firing a pulse that grazed its hull, forcing it to veer. "Get to the canyon," he shouted. Thalira dove behind a rock spire, her massive hand cradling Elias protectively. The gunship fired again, blasting the spire to rubble. Dust choked the air, but Thalira's eyes glowed through the haze, her resolve unshaken. "Stay close, small one," she said, rising. "We end this now." She charged toward the canyon, weaving through a storm of disruptor fire. Elias' implant screamed warnings. 2 more ships were circling, trying to box them in. He activated the Void Seeker's auto defenses, and the freighter's turrets sprang to life, spraying plasma bolts that forced the gunships to scatter. Thalira reached the canyon's edge, sliding down a slope to the ship's hidden berth. The Void Seeker's ramp was open, its cargo bay just large enough for her towering frame. "Inside," Elias yelled, leaping from her shoulder to the ramp. He sprinted to the cockpit, Thalira ducking to follow, her vine-like hair brushing the ceiling. The bay doors groaned as they sealed, and Elias slammed the controls, the ship lurching skyward. Consortium ships pursued, their weapons lighting up the sensors, but the Void Seeker was built for smuggling runs, fast and tough. Elias wove through the asteroid field orbiting Epsilon Drift, the gunships struggling to keep pace. Thalira crouched in the cargo bay, her green skin glowing faintly in the dim light. "Your ship is sturdy," she said, her voice steady despite the turbulence, "like its captain. Flattery won't help if we get hit," Elias called back, grinning as he dodged a quantum bolt, "but keep it coming." The Void Seeker broke free of the asteroid field, its engines roaring as it jumped to hyperspace. The stars blurred and silence settled over the ship. Elias slumped in the pilot's chair, exhaling. "We're clear, for now." Thalira's massive form filled the cockpit doorway, her golden eyes soft. "You risked everything, Elias. No one has ever done that for me." He stood, meeting her gaze despite the height difference. "You're worth it, Thalira, and I'm not done yet. The consortium won't stop hunting you or us." Her scales shimmered, a sign of emotion Elias was beginning to recognize. "Us," she repeated, the word heavy with meaning. "You tie your fate to mine, small one. Why?" He stepped closer, placing his hand on her ankle, the touch now familiar. "Because when I saw you in that chamber, I didn't see a monster. I saw a warrior, a guardian, a woman, and I'm not letting the galaxy take that from you again." Thalira knelt, bringing her face closer, her vine-like hair brushing his shoulder. "My people believed in bonds of spirit, not size or form. You see my spirit, Elias Thorne, and I see yours." Their moment was interrupted by a chime from the console. A coded transmission from Zilk, the consortium trader, flickered on-screen. Elias' jaw tightened as he opened it. Zilk's tentacles writhed, his multiple eyes gleaming with malice. "Captain Thorne, you've made a grave mistake. The Verdant is consortium property. Return her or we'll hunt you to the edge of the galaxy." Elias leaned into the comm, his voice cold. "She's not property, Zilk. She's Thalira, and she's free. Come after us and you'll regret it." He cut the transmission, turning to Thalira. Her golden eyes held a mix of gratitude and resolve. "They'll find us," she said. "The consortium has spies everywhere." "Then we stay one step ahead," Elias replied, plotting a course for the Outer Veil, a lawless region where smugglers and outcasts thrived. "I know a planet, Silvara. It's got jungles dense enough to hide even you. We can lay low, plan our next move." Thalira's hand gently cupped his back, her touch sending warmth through his jacket. "You speak of hiding, yet you dream of fighting. I know that look, small one." He grinned, unapologetic, guilty. "First, we need to make sure you're safe," and he hesitated, his hazel eyes searching hers. "We need to talk about what happens next. You're the last Verdant. What do you want?" She was silent for a moment, her scales pulsing softly. "I want a life unclaimed by chains, a purpose beyond survival," and her voice softened, almost shy. "I want to know what it means to be seen as you see me." Elias' heart raced, but he kept his tone light. "Well, Thalira, you've got me for that last part. Let's figure out the rest together." The Void Seeker glided through hyperspace, its engines humming a steady rhythm. Elias modified the cargo bay, rigging a makeshift living space for Thalira with reinforced panels and salvaged supplies. She sat cross-legged, her green skin catching the starlight filtering through the viewport, her vine-like hair pooling around her. Elias joined her, sitting on a crate, their size difference stark but no longer a barrier. "Tell me about the Verdants," he said, leaning forward. "Your people, what were they like?" Thalira's golden eyes grew distant, her voice soft. "We were born of the cosmos, tasked with nurturing worlds. Our bodies were shaped to carry starseeds, crystals that spark life on barren planets. We built gardens across stars, sang to forests that spanned continents. But invaders came, species who saw our strength as a threat, our size as monstrous. They hunted us, destroyed our temples. I was a child when my world fell. I fled only to be captured years later." Elias' jaw tightened, his hand resting on her ankle. "They didn't see you, they saw power they couldn't control. And you?" she asked, her gaze piercing. "What do you see?" He met her eyes, unflinching. "I see a woman who survived hell and still shines brighter than any star. I see someone I'd fight for no matter the odds." Thalira's scales flared, a verdant sign of deep emotion. She reached down, her massive finger brushing his cheek, gentle despite her strength. "No one has touched me with such care since my kin were lost. Your heart, Elias, it is vast despite your size." He laughed, the sound easing the tension. "Good thing too, gotta keep up with you." Their banter was interrupted by another alert. The Void Seeker's sensors detected a faint signal, a consortium tracker embedded in the ship's hull. Elias cursed, rushing to the cockpit. "They tagged us during the escape. We've got hours, maybe less, before they catch up." Thalira followed, her voice calm but firm. "Then we faced them. My people were warriors as well as guardians. I will not be chained again." Elias nodded, his mind racing. "We'll make a stand on Silvara. The jungle's our advantage. Its minerals mess with their tech, but we need help." He opened a secure channel, contacting an old smuggling contact, Kalia, a sharp-tongued pilot who owed him a favor. "Kalia, it's Thorne. Need backup on Silvara. Bring your fastest ship and some firepower." Kalia's voice crackled through, laced with amusement. "What mess you now, Elias? Got a bounty on your head already?" "Something like that," he said, glancing at Thalira. "And I'm bringing a friend. She's big." A pause, then a laugh. "You never do things small, do you? I'm in ETA 3 hours." The Void Seeker dropped out of hyperspace above Silvara, a lush world of towering violet trees and glowing flora. Elias landed in a clearing, the jungle dense enough to conceal Thalira. Massive form, she stepped out, her green skin blending with the foliage, her golden eyes scanning the canopy. "This place, it feels like home," she whispered, her hand brushing a tree that seemed to hum in response. Elias joined her, his boots sinking into the moss. "Good, because we're about to have company." The consortium ships arrived sooner than expected, their sleek forms cutting through Silvara's misty skies. Elias and Thalira took cover, her massive body shielding him as disruptor fire rained down. Kalia's ship, the Starfang, roared in, its cannons blasting one consortium vessel to debris. "You owe me, Big Thorne," Kalia's voice crackled over the comm. "Add it to my tab," Elias shouted, firing his pistol at a landing shuttle. Thalira moved like a force of nature, uprooting a tree and hurling it at another ship, forcing it to crash. Her strength was awe-inspiring, but her precision avoiding harm to the jungle spoke of her guardian heritage. The battle was fierce but brief. Kalia's firepower and Thalira's raw power overwhelmed the consortium forces, who retreated, their numbers decimated. As the smoke cleared, Elias stood beside Thalira, his hand on her leg, her scales warm under his touch. "We did it," he said, catching his breath. "We," she echoed, her golden eyes soft. "You fight for me, Elias, as I fight for you." Kalia landed, hopping out of the Starfang with a smirk. A wiry woman with cropped red hair and cybernetic implants, she eyed Thalira with a mix of awe and wariness. "Damn, Elias, when you said big, you weren't kidding." Thalira knelt, her voice gentle. "I am Thalira, last of the Verdants. Thank you for your aid." Kalia blinked, then grinned. "Anyone who can toss a tree like that's got my respect. What's the plan now?" Elias looked up at Thalira, his heart pounding. "We build a life, somewhere the consortium can't touch us, somewhere we can be us." Thalira's hand cupped his back, her touch a promise. "Together, small one, always." As night fell over Silvara, the jungle glowing with bioluminescent light, Elias and Thalira sat together, her massive form curled protectively around him. The consortium was weakened, but not defeated. Their bond, however, was unbreakable, a beacon in the darkness, guiding them toward a future neither could have imagined. The jungles of Silvara pulsed with life, their violet canopies glowing under the planet's twin moons, casting dappled light across Thalira's emerald-green skin. The verdant giantess sat in a clearing, her 30-foot frame nestled among towering trees that seemed to hum in resonance with her presence, their bioluminescent leaves swaying as if greeting an old friend. Her forest-fine hair spilled over her shoulders, blending with the foliage, and her golden, pupilless eyes shone with a mix of wonder and wariness. Captain Elias Thorne worked nearby, his leather jacket discarded in the humid air, his brown hair damp as he rigged a makeshift sensor array from Void Seeker's salvaged parts. His pulse pistol lay within reach, a reminder that the consortium's hunters were still out there, somewhere beyond the stars. "These trees," Thalira said, her voice a melodic rumble like wind through branches, "they sing like my people did. Silvara feels alive as if it remembers the Verdants." Elias glanced up, wiping sweat from his brow, his hazel eyes catching hers. "Maybe it does. Your kind-shaped world's right. This place could be one of your gardens left behind." Her scales shimmered, a verdant sign of emotion, hope perhaps. "If it is, it's been untended for centuries, yet it thrives. That gives me strength, Elias." He grinned, securing a sensor node to a tree. Good, because we're gonna need it. The consortium's not stupid, they'll track us here eventually. These sensors will give us a heads up. Thalira's massive hand brushed a glowing fern, its light reflecting on her green skin. You work tirelessly, small one, for me. Why? He paused, his hand resting on the sensor. Because you're not just a cause, Thalira, you're— He hesitated, then met her gaze. You're home, wherever you are, that's where I want to be. Her golden eyes softened and she extended a hand, her palm large enough to cradle his entire body. Elias stepped into it, letting her lift him to her eye level. The gesture, once cautious, was now natural, a bridge across their vast physical divide. My people believed in roots, she said softly, her vine-like hair brushing his shoulder. Connections that anchor the soul. You are my root, Elias Thorne. He placed his hand on her cheek, her scales warm and textured like polished bark. And you're mine. But roots need ground to grow. We've got to make Silvara safe for you, for us. Their moment was shattered by a sharp beep from the sensor array. Elias' neural implant buzzed, feeding him data, multiple ships entering Silvara's orbit, their signatures matching consortium tech. Damn it, he muttered, sliding from Thalira's hand to check the console. They're early, 5 ships heavily armed, they've got a lock on our signal. Thalira rose, her 30-foot frame towering over the clearing, her golden eyes narrowing. Let them come, I am no longer their prisoner. Elias grabbed his pistol, his jaw set. We're not fighting alone, Kalia's still out there, she'll back us up, but we need a plan. He tapped his implant, opening a secure channel. Kalia, it's Thorne, consortium's knocking, you nearby? Kalia's voice crackled through, her tone sharp but amused. Close enough, you trouble magnet. Got 2 ships with me, smuggler buddies who hate the consortium as much as you do. ETA 10 minutes, don't die before I get there. Working on it, Elias replied, turning to Thalira. We've got a window to set a trap, the jungle's our ally, its minerals mess with their sensors, can you use it? Thalira's scales flared, her voice resolute. The Verdants were not just guardians, we were warriors, these trees will answer my call. She knelt, pressing her hands to the ground. The clearing vibrated, the trees' glow intensifying as roots shifted beneath the soil, responding to her touch. Elias watched, awestruck, as vines snaked upward, forming a natural barricade around the clearing. You're full of surprises, he said, a grin tugging at his lips, her golden eyes sparkled. You've only seen the beginning, small one. The consortium ships descended, their quantum disruptors cutting through the canopy. Elias activated the Void Seeker's defenses, its turrets firing plasma bolts to keep the ships at bay. Thalira moved with terrifying grace, uprooting a massive tree and hurling it at a landing shuttle, crushing its hull. The jungle seemed to move with her, vines lashing out to entangle soldiers, their screams echoing as the flora fought back. Elias darted through the chaos, his pistol blazing, taking down guards with precise shots. His implant pinged, Kalia's ships were inbound, their cannons lighting up the sky. Thalira, keep them pinned, he shouted, dodging a disruptor blast. Kalia's almost here, a consortium commander, a scaled alien named Vren, emerged from a shuttle, his armor bristling with weapons. Surrender the Verdant, he bellowed, his voice amplified. She's worth more than your life, human, Elias fired, his pulse grazing Vren's shoulder. She's not for sale, lizard, and neither am I. Thalira roared, her voice shaking the trees, and slammed her fist into the ground, sending a shockwave that toppled Vren's guards. Vines wrapped around his shuttle, crushing it like a tin can. Vren snarled, raising a quantum lance, but Elias tackled him, his smaller size an advantage in the dense jungle. They grappled, Vren's claws raking Elias' arm, but Thalira's massive hand swept in, pinning Vren to the ground with a single finger. Yield, she said, her voice thunderous, or the jungle takes you. Vren spat, his eyes blazing, but the fight drained from him as Kalia's ships roared overhead, their cannons forcing the remaining consortium vessels to retreat. Elias stood, wincing at his torn arm, and Thalira gently lifted him, her golden eyes filled with concern. You're hurt, she said, her voice soft now. Just a scratch, he said, managing a grin. You should see the other guy. Kalia landed, her red hair glinting as she hopped from the Starfang. Nice work, Thorne. And you, she said, eyeing Thalira, are one hell of a gardener. Thalira's scales shimmered with amusement. I am Thalira, last of the Verdants. Thank you, Kalia, for your aid. Kalia smirked. Anytime, but you've got a bigger problem. My contacts say the consortium's got a new toy, a quantum tracker keyed to Verdant biology. They'll find you anywhere. Elias cursed, his hand resting on Thalira's ankle. Then we take the fight to them, find their base, shut down the tracker. Thalira's golden eyes hardened. My people faced extinction because of greed like theirs. I will not let them take our future. Kalia raised an eyebrow. You two are cozy. All right, I'm in. My buddies know a consortium outpost in the Vale, small, but it's where they're building the tracker. Hit it hard and they'll back off. The trio planned their strike under Silvara's moons, the jungle's glow casting shadows across Thalira's green skin. Elias and Thalira worked side by side, their bond deepening with every shared glance. As they prepared to board the Void Seeker, Thalira paused, her hand resting on her abdomen, a faint tremor in her scales. Elias, she said, her voice barely a whisper. I feel something stirring like a seed taking root. He froze, his implant scanning her vitals. The data was impossible, yet undeniable, a life, a blend of human and verdant, growing within her. Thalira, he said, his voice thick with awe, you're pregnant. Her golden eyes widened, tears forming. A child, our child, a new verdant born of us. Elias placed both hands on her, his heart racing. A miracle, we'll protect it together, Kalia, overhearing, whistled. Well, damn, congratulations, you crazy kids. Now let's make sure that kid has a galaxy to grow up in. As they boarded the Void Seeker, Elias and Thalira shared a look that spoke of love, defiance, and a future worth fighting for. The consortium's tracker loomed as a threat, but their bond, forged across impossible odds, was stronger. Silvara's jungles whispered behind them, a promise of sanctuary if they could win their freedom. The Void Seeker cut through the star-strewn void of the outer veil, its battered hull a testament to countless smuggling runs and narrow escapes. Inside, the cargo bay had been transformed into a sanctuary for Thalira, the last Verdant, her 30-foot frame reclining on reinforced panels padded with salvaged thermal blankets. Her emerald green skin glowed softly under the ship's dim lights, her forest-fine hair cascading like a living canopy, and her golden, pupil-less eyes watched Captain Elias Thorne with a warmth that belied their dire situation. Elias, his leather jacket patched from Silvara's battle, worked at the cockpit's console, his brown hair tousled and his hazel eyes sharp as he plotted a course to the consortium's outpost on Cryon 3, a barren moon hosting their quantum tracker facility. Kalia's ship, the Starfang, flanked them, its sleek form a stark contrast to the Void Seeker's rugged utility. Elias' neural implant buzzed, pulling data from the ship's sensors. Cryon 3 was heavily fortified, its surface pocked with automated turrets and shielded by a quantum distortion field. The tracker keyed to Thalira's unique verdant biology was their target, a device that could pinpoint her anywhere in the galaxy. Destroying it was their only shot at freedom, especially now, with Thalira's pregnancy adding a new layer of urgency. The thought of their unborn child, a hybrid of human and verdant, sent a thrill through Elias, equal parts awe and resolve. Coordinates locked, Elias said, glancing back at Thalira. Cryon 3 a fortress, but Kalia's got schematics from a defector. We hit the control hub, disable the tracker, and get out before they know what hit him. Thalira's scales shimmered, a sign of her growing strength as her pregnancy progressed. My people faced such fortresses once, she said, her voice a melodic rumble like wind through ancient groves. We toppled them with root and vine, this moon will fare no better. Elias grinned, his hand brushing her ankle, the touch now a ritual that grounded them both. That's the spirit, just don't topple me in the process. Her golden eyes sparkled with mischief. No promises, small one, you are temptingly toppleable. Kalia's voice crackled over the comm, her tone sharp with her usual sarcasm. Save the flirting for after we're not dead, you two. My defector says the outpost run by Director Vren, you met him on Silvara. He's got a vendetta and a new toy, a quantum pulse array, not as nasty as their planet killers, but it'll fry anything organic in range. Elias jaw tight. Vren's persistent. What's the array's weakness? Power grid exposed in the sublevels, Kalia replied. Take it out and the tracker goes dark, but it's crawling with guards. And Elias, the defector mentioned something weird. Consortium's got verdant tech, old stuff scavenged from Thalira's people. Thalira's scales flared, her voice hardening. They defile our legacy. Whatever they've taken, I will reclaim or destroy. Elias nodded, his hand lingering on her. Then let's make this quick. Kalia, you and your buddies draw their fire. Thalira and I go in hard and fast. Hard and fast, huh? Kalia snorted. Keep it professional, Thorne. We're dropping in 10. The Void Seeker and Starfang descended toward Cryon 3, cloaked by the moon's ash storms. Elias piloted with precision, dodging turret fire as Kalia's ships engaged the perimeter defenses, their plasma cannons lighting up the gray sky. Thalira crouched in the cargo bay, her massive form tense but steady, her vine-like hair swaying with the ship's movements. This moon is dead, she murmured, her golden eyes scanning the barren landscape through the viewport. No life, no roots, it is an affront to what my people stood for. Then we'll give it a wake-up call, Elias said, landing the Void Seeker in a crater near the outpost service tunnels. He strapped on his pulse rifle, checking his implant's map of the facility. Ready, Thalira, she rose, her 30-foot frame barely fitting through the bay doors. Always my route. They emerged into the ash storm, Thalira's green skin a beacon in the gray haze. Elias led the way, his rifle raised, while Thalira moved with surprising stealth, her massive strides silent on the rocky terrain. The service tunnel's entrance was guarded by automated drones, their scanners whirring. Elias hacked their systems with his implant, disabling them, but not before one sent an alert. We're on the clock, he muttered, blasting the lock and diving inside. The tunnel was a maze of pipes and conduits, lit by flickering blue lights. Thalira had to crawl, her scales scraping the walls, but her golden eyes burned with determination. This place reeks of greed, she said, her voice echoing. They strip worlds bare just as they tried to strip me. Elias glanced back, his heart aching at her words. Not anymore, we're ending this. They reached the sublevels where the power grid hummed, its quantum conduits pulsing with energy. Guards patrolled in exosuits, their weapons trained for verdant physiology. Elias took point, his rifle dropping two before they could react. Thalira surged forward, her massive hand swatting a third into a wall, the impact crumpling his armor. Stay behind me, she said, her voice fierce. They will not touch you, he smirked, dodging a blast. Trying to steal my hero moment, her laugh like rustling leaves filled the tunnel. You have enough moments, small one. They fought through waves of guards, Elias' precision complementing Thalira's raw power. She tore through barriers like paper, her green skin unscathed by glancing shots, her verdant resilience a marvel. Elias' implant guided them to the control hub, a vast chamber dominated by a glowing quantum core, the tracker's heart. Consoles lined the walls, displaying data on verdant biology, including scans of Thalira's DNA. Above the core, a holographic display flickered, showing fragments of ancient verdant tech, a crystalline device pulsing with green light, its design eerily similar to Thalira's scales. They stole a starseed, Thalira whispered, her voice trembling with rage. Our sacred tool for creating life, they've corrupted it into a weapon. Elias' blood ran cold. The pulse array, they're using your people's tech against you. Before they could act, the chamber's doors sealed and Director Vren's voice boomed from hidden speakers. Your predictable human, the Verdants biology led you right to us. A platform descended, revealing Vren in advanced armor, flanked by elite guards and a towering mech wielding the starseed array. Its green glow pulsed ominously, synced to Thalira's presence. Elias raised his rifle, but Thalira stepped forward, her scales flaring. You defile my kin's legacy, Vren. Release the starseed or I will tear this moon apart. Vren's scaled face twisted into a sneer. You're a relic verdant, your kind lost. This array will ensure no one defies the consortium again. The mech fired, a pulse of green energy surging toward Thalira. She dove, shielding Elias, the blast grazing her arm and leaving a scorched mark on her green skin. She roared, uprooting a console and hurling it at the mech, but it countered with another pulse, forcing her back. Elias fired at the guards, his shots precise, but the mech's armor was too strong. Thalira, the core, he shouted. Hit the power grid. She nodded, her golden eyes blazing, and charged the core, her massive fists smashing through its shielding. Sparks flew, the chamber shaking as the grid destabilized. Vren screamed orders, but Elias tackled him, their struggle a blur of fists and claws. Thalira's hand swept in, pinning Vren's guards, but the mech's array powered up, its pulse aimed at her heart. No. Elias yelled, breaking free and diving for the mech's controls. His implant hacked its systems, stalling the array, but not before it fired a glancing shot. Thalira staggered, her scales dimming, and Elias' heart stopped. Thalira, she steadied herself, her voice strained but resolute. I'm still here, small one. With a final surge, she smashed the core, the tracker shutting down in a cascade of sparks. The mech faltered, its starseed dimming, and Elias finished it with a point-blank shot to its power cell. The chamber fell silent save for the hum of failing systems. Vren, pinned under debris, spat curses, but Elias ignored him, rushing to Thalira. Her green skin was pale, her golden eyes flickering. You're hurt, he said, his hands on her arm, the scorched scales rough under his touch. A wound, she said, her voice soft. But our child is unharmed, I feel it strong like us. Elias' implant confirmed it, the pulse had weakened her, but the pregnancy was stable. He exhaled, relief flooding him. You're tougher than this moon, Thalira. Kalia's voice crackled through his calm. Thorne outpost in chaos, we've got a clear shot to exfil. Move. Thalira lifted Elias, cradling him against her chest, her strength returning. They fled through collapsing tunnels, the starseed array clutched in her hand, a piece of her people reclaimed. The Void Seeker and Starfang awaited outside, Kalia's crew covering their escape. As they boarded, a new alert flashed. A consortium fleet was mobilizing, led by Zilk himself, determined to reclaim the starseed. They don't quit, Elias muttered, setting the Void Seeker's course for Silvara. That starseed's their endgame. What does it do? Thalira held the crystal, its green glow pulsing in sync with her scales. It creates life or destroys it if corrupted. They want to weaponize it, control worlds as my people once nurtured them. Kalia, joining them in the cargo bay, whistled. That's one hell of a prize, no wonder they're pissed. What's the play, Thorne? Elias looked at Thalira, her golden eyes steady despite her wounds. We go back to Silvara, the jungle's our fortress. We use the starseed to protect it, make it a sanctuary for our kid, for us. Thalira's hand rested on her abdomen, her voice soft but fierce. A new world born of our love. I will fight for it, Elias, as you fight for me. He placed his hand over hers, their size difference irrelevant in the face of their bond. Then let's show the consortium what happens when you mess with a human and a verdant. As the Void Seeker jumped to hyperspace, Elias and Thalira sat together, the starseed glowing between them. The consortium's fleet loomed, but their love, a force as vast as the galaxy, would face it head-on. Silvara awaited, a promise of home, and their unborn child a symbol of hope. The twin moons of Silvara hung low, their silver light filtering through the violet canopy, casting a glow across Thalira's emerald-green skin. The verdant giantess stood in a vast clearing, her 30-foot frame a pillar of strength amid the humming jungle, her forest vine hair swaying as if stirred by an unseen wind. Her golden, pupilless eyes gleamed with resolve, one massive hand resting protectively on her swollen abdomen, where their unborn child, a hybrid of human and verdant, stirred with a life that defied the galaxy's rules. Captain Elias Thorne stood at her side, his leather jacket scarred from Cryon 3 battle, his brown hair damp with Silvara's humid air, and his hazel eyes sharp as he monitored the Void Seeker's sensor array. The consortium's fleet, led by the tentacled traitor Zilk, was closing in, their ships armed with a corrupted verdant starseed, a sacred tool-turned weapon capable of raising worlds or creating them. The Void Seeker rested in the clearing, its hull patched but ready, flanked by Kalia's Starfang and 2 smuggler ships, their crews prepping for the fight. Elias' neural implant buzzed with data, 12 consortium vessels, including Zilk's flagship, the Oblivion Spear, equipped with the starseed array. The jungle around them pulsed, its bioluminescent flora responding to Thalira's presence, roots shifting beneath the soil as if ready to rise. Elias glanced up at her, his hand brushing her ankle, the familiar touch grounding them both. They're coming hard, Thalira. Zilk wants that starseed back in you. Her scales flared, a verdant sign of defiance. They will take neither, she said, her voice a melodic thunder like wind through ancient groves. This jungle is my kin and our child is our future. I will not let them destroy either. Elias grinned, his pulse rifle slung across his back. That's my girl, we've got the home field advantage. This jungle's yours, and I'm betting it's got a few tricks left. Kalia strode over, her red hair glinting, her cybernetic eyes scanning the sky. You're not wrong, Thorne. My scanners are going haywire. Silvara's minerals are screwing with their targeting systems, but Zilk's got numbers, and that starseed's no joke. Plan. Elias pointed to the sensor array. We draw them into the jungle. Thalira can control the terrain, vines, roots, the works. Your ships take the high ground, keep their fleet busy. I'll hit their flagship, sabotage the starseed. Thalira's golden eyes narrowed. You will not face Zilk alone, small one. We are roots entwined. He met her gaze, his jaw set. I know, but I'm faster in tight spaces. You hold the ground, keep their troops off me. Together we end this. She knelt, her massive hand cupping his back, her scales warm against his jacket. You risk too much, Elias Thorne, for me, for our child. He placed both hands on her, his voice soft but fierce. You're my home, Thalira, our kid's my future, no risks too big for that. Her vine-like hair brushed his shoulder and she pressed her massive lips gently against his chest, their version of a kiss, overwhelming yet tender. Then fight well, my root, I will be your shield, Kalia coughed, smirking. Get a room, you two, or a forest, we've got incoming. The sky darkened as consortium ships breached Silvara's atmosphere, their hulls glinting like predators' eyes. The Oblivion spear led, its starseed array glowing green, a perversion of Thalira's heritage. Elias activated the Void Seeker's defenses, its turrets firing plasma bolts to disrupt their formation. Kalia's ships roared upward, engaging the fleet in a blaze of cannon fire. Jungle trembled and Thalira raised her hands, her scales pulsing in sync with the flora. Vines erupted from the soil, snaking toward landing shuttles, crushing their hulls before troops could deploy. Elias sprinted toward the Void Seeker, his implant mapping a path to the flagship's landing zone. Thalira strode behind him, her massive steps shaking the earth, her golden eyes blazing as she commanded the jungle. Roots burst through the ground, entangling consortium soldiers, their screams swallowed by the foliage. Stay sharp, small one, she called, hurling a tree at a shuttle, forcing it to crash. I'm always sharp, Elias shouted, dodging a quantum blast. His rifle dropped two guards, their exosuits sparking as they fell. His implant pinged, the Oblivion spear was landing in a nearby valley, its array charging. He hacked a consortium drone, using its signal to mask his approach, and slipped into the valley, the flagship's massive form looming. Inside, the ship was a labyrinth of corridors, lit by the eerie green glow of the starseed. Elias moved silently, his implant guiding him to the array's control chamber. Guards patrolled, but his smuggler's instincts kept him hidden, slipping through vents and shadows. He reached the chamber where the starseed pulsed on a pedestal, its energy linked to a network of quantum conduits. Zilk stood before it, his tentacles writhing, his multiple eyes gleaming with greed. You're tenacious human, Zilk hissed, his voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics. But the Verdants' power is mine. This starseed will reshape worlds for a price. Elias raised his rifle, his voice cold. It's not yours to sell, Zilk. It's Thalira's legacy, and I'm taking it back. Zilk laughed, his tentacles triggering a trap. Energy fields snapped up, pinning Elias against the wall, his rifle clattering to the floor. You're out of your depth, smuggler. The Verdant will be recaptured and her child our next asset. Rage surged through Elias, but before he could respond, the ship shook violently. Thalira's voice boomed outside, her words carrying through the hull. Zilk, you defile my kin's creation, face me. The jungle had followed her, vines breaching the flagship's hull, tearing through metal like paper. Thalira's massive hand smashed through a bulkhead, her green skin glowing as she ripped the chamber open. Zilk's guards fired, but their shots glanced off her scales, her verdant resilience unyielding. She scooped Elias free, her golden eyes fierce. I told you, small, when we fight together. Elias grinned, grabbing his rifle. Can't argue with that. Together they assaulted the chamber, Elias' shots disabling the conduits, while Thalira crushed guards with precise, devastating blows. Zilk activated the starseed, its green pulse surging, but Thalira's hand closed around it, her scales sinking with its energy. This is mine, she roared, her voice shaking the ship. The jungle responded, roots piercing the hull, draining the array's power, but Zilk wasn't done. He triggered a failsafe and the starseed's energy spiked, threatening to overload and destroy Silvara's ecosystem. Elias' implant screamed warnings, and he dove for the control console, hacking its systems. Thalira, hold it steady, I can reroute the energy. Her scales dimmed, the effort taxing her, but she nodded, her golden eyes locked on his. I trust you, my root. Elias worked frantically, his fingers flying over the controls, redirecting the starseed's power into the jungle itself. The clearing outside glowed, the flora absorbing the energy, growing taller, stronger, their bioluminescence blinding. The Oblivion spear groaned, its systems failing as the jungle reclaimed its power. Zilk lunged, his tentacles wrapping around Elias, but Thalira's hand swept in, pinning him to the floor. No more, she said, her voice thunderous. Your greed ends here. The starseed stabilized, its glow softening, and Elias exhaled, slumping against Thalira's hand. The flagship system shut down, and Kalia's voice crackled through. Thorne, you alive? The fleet's retreating, jungles tearing them apart. We're good, Elias replied, his hand on Thalira's scales. Zilk's down, starseed secure. Thalira lifted him to her chest, her golden eyes softening. You saved Silvara, small one, and us. He grinned, his heart racing. Team effort, love. They emerged from the wrecked flagship, the jungle, now a fortress of towering trees and glowing vines, a testament to the Starseed's true purpose. Kalia landed, her crew cheering as they secured the remaining consortium troops. Zilk, bound by vines, was handed to the smugglers, who promised to deliver him to a Terran Alliance tribunal. As dawn broke over Silvara, painting the sky in shades of amber and violet, Elias and Thalira stood in the clearing, the starseed cradled in her hand. Her pregnancy was advancing, her abdomen visibly swollen, and Elias' implant confirmed the child's vitality, its unique biology pulsing with verdant energy. This place, Thalira said, her voice soft, will be our home, a sanctuary for our daughter where she can grow without fear. Elias placed his hand on her, marveling at her strength. A new world, Thalira, for her, for us. Kalia, leaning against the Starfang, smirked. You two are disgustingly sweet, but you've got my vote for sanctuary status. I've got contacts in the Alliance, they'll back you. Over the following weeks, Elias and Thalira worked to shape Silvara into a haven. The starseed, now purified, was planted in the clearing, its energy nurturing the jungle, creating fields of glowing flora and clean water sources. The Terran Alliance, swayed by Kalia's network and Elias' smuggler charm, granted Silvara protected status, recognizing Thalira as its guardian and their child as a citizen of both worlds. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Elias stood before Thalira, holding a ring crafted from the Voidseeker's hull, its metal infused with Silvara's bioluminescent minerals. Thalira, he said, his voice thick with emotion, you're my home, my root, my everything. Marry me. Her golden eyes filled with tears, and she knelt, pressing her lips gently against his entire body, their kiss a bridge across their differences. Yes, Elias Thorne, she whispered, 1,000 times yes. Their daughter, born months later, was a marvel, green-skinned with hazel eyes, her tiny form radiating verdant energy. They named her Lyra, a name meaning harmony, a symbol of their union. Silvara flourished, a sanctuary where size and species meant nothing, only love and courage. Elias and Thalira, now married, stood together under the glowing canopy, their daughter cradled in Thalira's hand, Elias' arm around her finger. They called you a monster, Elias said, looking up at Thalira, but you're the heart of this world. And you, she replied, her voice a song, dared to see me, to touch me, to love me. Our story will echo beyond the stars. As Lyra cooed, her tiny hand glowing with starseed light, the jungle sang, a chorus of life welcoming a new era. The galaxy might not be ready for a human verdant child, but Silvara was, and its guardians, Elias and Thalira, would ensure it thrived, a testament to love's boundless power.